Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. We've all heard that dreaded phrase and hoped it would never apply to us, a parent's worst nightmare. It's that call at 3 in the morning from the police. It's that discovery of a deep, dark secret. Or in the case of our guest today, it's the journey through a toddler's life-threatening illness with an uncertain outcome that makes life almost unbearable. Sandee Barry Mills has written about it in Seasons with Storey, a mother's memoir. And Sandee, thanks so much for joining us today from Bozeman, Montana, where the snow has finally gone away, I suppose.
It's we're still waiting for it.
Oh, still waiting for it. Good grief. All right.
Yes,
Well, thanks for sharing your story in this book,
yes.
a story about Story. That must have been terribly difficult to relive and put it down in writing. What was that like?
Well, it took 20 years, and I would go a few years without doing anything with it, and um, I could only do it a few hours a day because it did, made me physically ill. And then almost the worst part was editing. You have to edit it 20 times yourself before you
Right.
send it off. And so I had to keep it very personable. I had to still write it that way while I was editing it, but I also had to remove myself from it or I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um, how did this journey start for you and your family? Just to kind of walk us through the
sure.
quick story.
Um, it started when Story was 2 years old. She was growing and progressing normally until she was about 2 years old. And then we noticed she never got to be to a running stage. 2-year-olds are running all over the place. And
Yeah.
and then she started walking a little funny, like she just got off a horse. And so we thought, there must be something wrong. And I just said, oh, she has growing pains. I didn't want really to know that there was, bad future in front of
Oh,
us.
yeah, sure.
And then that's what started. We went to the doctor and then we went to a neurologist. And um, because a lot of diseases begin after your genes are set up, but then your genes kind of turn over and do their thing constantly, and especially when you're a kid, and like a mutated gene would
Mhm.
like all of a sudden start showing up. So it's never instant that they when they are first born, which is a little scary. I didn't know that, and I kept
Yeah.
wondering why that was, but
What was the disease?
it was neural intraclear hyaline inclusion disease. The acronym is NIID, and it's kind of the worst of the worst.
And it's rare, I assume.
So 30 people in the world had, when she was born, when they figured out she had it, only 30 people in the world had been diagnosed with it.
Good grief. That's terrible. Well, there must have been times of obviously fear, but also mixed with optimism. It seems like you must have had so many ups and downs, good news days, bad news days. What was that like?
Well, some days she would have a good day, and we thought, oh,
Hmm.
she's getting better,
Right.
she's walking better, she's standing up, she's a little brighter. And so it was a roller coaster of hopes, and and since we didn't know what disease she had, we kept thinking, oh, she's getting better.
Right.
Um,
Well, naturally, yeah, you would think that.
like right. And of course you want to be optimistic.
Mhm.
If we sat around and thought and had these sad looks on her face, it wouldn't have helped her any.
That's for
We
sure.
wanted to stay positive,
Mhm.
which
You
is
have a,
very hard to do, but I try to do that in my life. So
yeah. You had a great description of this rare disease. You called it like an uninvited, out of control, drugged up party guest who makes a scene and then burns your house down. Boy, that's a great description. I imagine must have been somewhat cathartic to write this, but it's also an encouragement to other parents facing similar journeys. You mentioned in the book too not wanting to crush another parent's hopes, even in the midst of uncertainty and fear, because they would get their hopes up, and you didn't want to, give them false hope, but you also didn't want to crush their spirits. What was it like dealing with other parents? And you must have been a great help to them.
Well, that's one reason I wrote the book, is
Hmm.
because I want them, everybody's dealing with something different, of it, different handicaps and whatever. And I wanted people to really still look at the bright side of everything, and especially diseases when their children have these terrible rare diseases, and they are rare. So I don't want people to get scared.
Right.
But and Story had the ultra rare disease, but I learned a lot more than I cared and learned, and I'm glad I'm not having children right now. But um, there's so many healthy children born, brilliant children, and but I also wanted to write it because the children with not just diseases, but handicaps and people that are struggling with different ailments, they are supposed to be here in this world to teach us these lessons.
Mm.
And it's really a gift to have one of these children. It's a hard life, but there's gifts in it at the end. And I wanted people to understand that if they can see that part of it, raising a child like this, um, it's really it opens your heart and it keeps it that way. And um, I think more and more people are starting to learn that that's the case. And I teach skiing to handicapped children, and you see that every day when I was teaching yesterday, and it's such a gift to be around them.
Hmm. It's hard to see that in the midst of going through it,
It is hard.
because
Yeah.
I think that'd be the hardest part to realize, okay, this is a gift. This is a gift. This is a gift. Tell yourself it's a gift.
Yeah.
But it's got to be
And
terribly.
it took me 5 years. It took me a few years into it to realize that, because
Yeah.
I could see past the hard part, because we were still struggling and we had no answers,
Yeah.
no idea what their future was going to be. And um it's hard to get to that spot, but it'll save your life if you do.
Sure.
Yeah.
The book is unique in that it not only shares your story from beginning to end, but it ends the book itself ends very really interestingly ends with a list of medications, tests, websites for rare diseases, and a long list of things that helped you weather the storm. What were some of those things that helped you get through it?
um I just kind of had to keep my focus and on things that I could help her with, and I did crazy alternative things, things I
Hmm.
didn't even believe in. And I also did that because I wanted people to have permission that they could do that. But I think those alternative things made her feel better in her body.
Yeah,
Um, they weren't cures, but they, let's say acupuncture, which I get for something else. And it just makes me feel better. I didn't do that with her because there's needles involved, but um, we have to do whatever we can to find answers and to make our children feel better, and not just children but adults that are taking care of loved ones with ALS and such.
yeah. I noted a few of those things that you wrote down that helped you get through it. Writing affirmations on recipe cards and hiding them. That was clever. How did that work?
Well, I still find some.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like I would open my sock drawer and I'd see it in there, and I don't know, I didn't come up with that. I learned it from somebody that I went to help me out
I
to
hope
do
that
something. But
I hope that continues to help you out.
yeah. And today I haven't been doing it lately, but I have a little tiny notebook and I write 5 things I'm grateful for. And it might just
Oh,
be turning the water on and I can drink it, you
yeah.
know. Who thinks about that? So many people in the world can't even drink water out of their faucet.
I know we have so much to be thankful for. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You mentioned other things, prayer, Tuesday vanilla lattes, scooping horse manure. That's a good one. How in the world did that help you get through it? Scooping horse manure.
Well, I would go out at night after, Story and my son went to bed, and during the middle of the night, feed my horses, and I scoop manure. And there's something about the smell of manure, not super fresh manure, but that's been sitting for a little bit. And everyone
Aged,
that's a horse
aged manure.
age,
Yeah.
age, and everyone that's a horse person knows what I'm talking about. And and it's physical work too.
Yeah.
It's for a few minutes. So it's a little getting out and looking at the stars,
Mhm.
and appreciating all that before I go to bed and petting my horses. So
I can appreciate that part. Not being a horse person, I cannot appreciate the horse manure part, but I'm sure, to each his own. I like this one, eating gross green stuff. What was that all about?
um, one of the people I took Story to, an herbalist or whatever, they suggested she eat this green. Now it's just called superfoods, but back
Oh,
then,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't call it that. And it's a little crunchy, and I put in her applesauce, and she was so good about eating everything. And
Yeah.
uh yeah, it was pretty gross, but I would put it in my smoothie too. But now that's it's better because there's a lot smoother stuff. But back then it was
Yeah.
crunchy, and you could taste the dirt, and it's terrible.
Well, you really are an encourager because not only did that help you get through it, but by putting that in the book, you're helping people who are going through similar situations. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
great. I love how you also include letters from Story herself
Uh-huh.
that you wrote, include and even the dog, Chisel.
Right.
What a great idea.
Well, Chisel is a little comic relief because it's
Uh,
a tough read, the book
of course,
overall.
but every
Yeah,
drama has to have some comic relief.
right.
Every,
And Chisel was just a special bull mastiff, and she was right by my side and would kind of protect Story a little bit. And she was super gentle with my kids, and so she had a voice, and every little story she told is true, but I just told it in what she would be saying.
right, of course. Yeah.
And the love letters between myself and Story, she, when I was writing it, those were the super easy to write because she was really telling me what to write.
Mm,
I could hear her voice while I was
sure.
writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I wanted to break the book up a little bit. I probably read 100 memoirs before I wrote this or during writing this.
mm.
And none of them had anything different like that in there. And so I wanted to be different.
It's different. It's beautiful. You've described yourself and John as angel parents. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, angel parents are parents that have lost children.
Mm,
And um, someone after Story passed, someone gave me a pin that said angel parents, and that gal had also lost a daughter to cancer, childhood cancer. And that just fit because they are angels.
yeah. And that's really a fraternity of people who have gone through that same type of thing.
Sure.
It should be noted also that
Yeah,
that Story lives on,
right,
not just in spirit, but through donations of a heart valve and her corneas. What a great gift she's been in that way as well, physically.
right. Yeah.
No, no,
That
no.
was very healing to do that.
I bet it was. Now, all it should be noted
Yeah.
too that all proceeds from this book go to Eagle Mount, a camp in Montana that serves people of all ages with disabilities and cancer through communing with nature and outdoor activities like horseback riding, skiing, and swimming. So that's good for you. I'm so glad you're
Yes.
doing that. The book
I'm
is
the Paul Newman. I'm like Paul Newman. He gave 100% of his proceeds. So I
you're the
wanted to do
Paul
that.
you're the Paula Newman of Montana.
That's right.
There we go. Hey, the book is called Seasons with Storey, A Mother's Memoir. Thank you, Sandee, so much for your willingness to share with us today. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden. We'll see you next time.